Hi everybody, and welcome to the ROMEX North America presentation. My name's Tom Kirk. I'm the Chief Technical Officer for ROMEX in North America and also one of the co-founders. I'll be taking you through the presentation today. So, ROMEX, our tagline is durable solutions, endless possibilities, and we produce top-of-the-line, professionally engineered, permeable jointing, bedding, and gravel binding solutions for a multitude of hardscape projects. ROMEX was originally founded in 1989 out of the Cologne, Germany region. It's been installed in approximately 50 countries and all kinds of climates around the world to date. We are the original creators of resin sand joint products, and we established North American production in 2022 with several facilities across the continent now producing these products. So German technology, but being produced and made in North America. Our services, so what we can offer is permeable jointing, so what goes between paving units, permeable bedding, what the pavers sit on top of, and types of permeable gravel and aggregate binding solutions. So aggregates are very aesthetically pleasing, great to use for drainage, etc. in hardscape construction, but when left loose, can become a real maintenance headache, and we can help resolve those kind of issues. Through that, we also provide consultation to designers, architects, engineers, and installers. We have free online training courses, which anyone can access online. And where appropriate, we provide free on-site training with some of our highly skilled representatives. So the types of applications that these products can be used include pool decks, patios, pathways, driveways, vehicle surfaces, tree surrounds, particularly with the bonded aggregate products, plazas and commercial spaces, as well as roads and streets. So realistically, I like to say it's anything around or outside of the building envelope. Most buildings have a hardscape surface of some description, and these products can all be applicable in enhancing those. So why are these products necessary? Well, in the top left of the screen, you can see lots of weeds growing out of these paver joints. So on the right, you see the equivalent ROMEX solution. So we'll provide jointing products that do not allow weeds to take hold and ants to burrow and remove jointing product. Water pooling and water management is the next thing. Very important topic. Whether it's just you don't want to get wet feet, walk into your office or classroom, or it may be a freezing issue with ice puddles and such forming in northern climates. So with ROMEX solutions, products, and consultation, we can help manage the water and ensure that those surfaces remain puddle-free. The top left, another major issue is paver shift and displacement. So this might just deter people from wanting to use pavers. I always like to say that we are not a paver selling company, but we certainly help sell pavers by providing awesome setting systems, which alleviate the concerns that people may have in eventually defaulting to asphalt or concrete pour. So we want to keep unit pavers, and setting them the right way is critical to that. So good edge restraint, good setting system, bedding, and jointing products, all preventing the movement shift, which can lead to some things like ADA compliance issues, trip and slips, etc. And then finally, root damage in the bottom left. You can see that when trees are left to their own devices or covered up, they come up looking for nutrients, air, water, etc. And if we have those covered in impervious surfaces, then unfortunately the tree will always win. So our goal is to give pervious surfaces which are safe and good for humans to walk on, but give the trees exactly what they need so they don't come up looking to damage our hardscape surfaces. So just an array of solutions there in these first few slides as to why ROMEX solutions are necessary. The first part we're going to look at is going to be the full system, which is the truss bed, adhesional nutrient, and choice of jointing product. So we could refer to this as the RSG, or ROMEX System Guarantee. Comes with three main components, which is the truss bed, bedding layer that the pavers will sit on. The adhesional nutrient, it's like a thin set. It's what bonds the paver to the bedding layer. And then finally, ROMEX jointing product, a choice of jointing products which can fill the gaps. And we determine those based on the parameters of the project, essentially the loading, maybe the water infiltration rate required, or parameters around the unit pavers themselves, jointing width, etc. We have a full set of detailed drawings which can accompany any project for specification wise. We have 3D images, we have these 2D images, and these really provide what I would call a basis of design. Every project has its differences and quirks, but these give you a good platform, if you like, to build off of. And you can see here that our general assembly entails 3/4 inch clear crushed aggregate for on-grade applications as a base product. The ROMEX truss bed at a certain depth, typically 1.5 inches for pedestrian areas and up to 3 inches for vehicular. The ROMEX adhesion elutriant thin set, which is that bonding agent or glue, if you like, which goes on the bottom of the paver, bonds it to the bedding. And then, of course, the choice of paver with jointing product in between as well. So that's a classic on-grade assembly with the ROMEX system guarantee. We also do lots and lots of square footage and installations on slab, on podium, above parking garage, amenity spaces, etc. The list goes on. So in this situation, you can see that we have the existing concrete structural slab. We then build off of that with the truss bedding. There may or may not be insulation required there, depending if it's a living situation or not. The adhesion elutriant, of course, bonding that paver to the bedding, and then the paver with choice of jointing going in as well. So 2 different approaches. Of course, I just want to point out that the ROMEX system here can also be used just in overlay situations. It's not always required that you break out the concrete. As long as we have a way for the water to escape, that's the main thing that we're going to drive towards. So, quick look at the truss bed. This is the world's first permeable bonded setting system. ROMEX was the first to create an entirely permeable bonded setting system using truss bed, adhesion elutriant thin set, and a choice of jointing product in between. You can see here when I play the video, the bucket of water getting poured onto the truss bed. It's extremely porous. It basically just disappears the moment it touches. We have the ability to provide this system with a 10-year warranty, which can be applied for through our website. It is, of course, highly permeable. By eliminating trapped water, it becomes frost resistant. So if we can't get, if there's no water trapped in the system, there will be no frost heave present. It solves the pedestrian and vehicular hardscape challenges. So whether that is, again, water management, the ability to power wash and easily maintain, use de-icing chemicals, or just paver shift, which causes trip and slip and possible lawsuits, these systems will resolve all of those issues, and it guarantees a solid and sustainable surface overall. And you can see some of the main icons at the bottom of the screen here, just as reminders of the key bullet points. So truss bed is a direct replacement for the need to pour concrete or into the mud setting or wet setting type applications. It's an upgrade to sand setting pavers, of course, but it actually is a time and money saver when it comes to the traditional methods of pouring concrete and bonding. So the reasons why is there's no forming, rebar, and slab prep. And also critically, these products won't allow any efflorescence to leach out. We have suppressants in there through the polymer technology, which latch on and prevent those chemicals coming out, which provide efflorescence. And of course, the jointing on the surface is a resin product rather than a cementitious product as well. There's significantly reduced project timeline. That is because you are not going through the rigmarole and process of pouring, doing rebar, prepping a concrete slab, waiting for it to cure. You're actually installing and mixing the truss on day one. You can see here the freshly mixed truss bedding coming out of a cement mixer, simply getting wheeled over to the area of site. This is an on-slab application here. The material is loosely screeded into place, thin set applied, and we're setting the pavers wet to wet. So that slab is doing a 2-in-1 job. It is the support structure and also the bedding application as well. So you're cutting out an entire step there. Much faster application, time is money. It's got permeability and frost resistance. We just touched on that a short minute ago, but because it will not hold water, it is therefore highly, highly frost resistant. There's approximately 15 to 25% savings on the ROMEX system here versus pouring a slab and mortar setting down. A lot of that comes from the time, money, and effort spent on pouring concrete. And the reason for the range is that obviously costs vary depending on which part of the continent you may be in. And finally, there's 30 to 40% less embodied carbon in the truss product than there is in typical sand and cement. So if that's a key driver for your project, please feel free to come and talk to us about that. But essentially, the truss contains minerals, rather than being entirely fired by energy, such as Portland cement is. Like I said, this system, 3 parts, the truss bed, the adhesion nutrient thin set, and the paver jointing, is available with our market-leading 10-year system warranty. So to touch on the adhesion nutrient just for a moment, I like to refer to it as an unsung hero. Doesn't get a lot of limelight, but it does an amazing job basically making the paver unit and the bedding become one. So I like to say if we have 3 inches of truss bed with a 3-inch paver, essentially you have a 6-inch slab altogether in that mix, providing great strength and durability, of course. So the thin set is a sister product of the truss, so the two of them want to join together. We get exceptionally strong paver pull tests on site, usually in and around 2.4 MPa, of course, general industry standard being 0.5. It contains the polymer enhancements that the truss does as well, even contains some truss cement, and like I said, does the great work of bonding that unit paver to the bedding system. Typically, it's applied to larger units via notch trowel per North American tile setting standards. Smaller units, it is possible to just smear on the thin set with a margin trowel or even dip it into a bucket. Now, to back up what we've been saying, we engaged with RDH Building Science, who created an independent third-party frost test for the system. So what we did there was we created cookies of truss bed, granite pavers with the whole system, and they were sent off for testing. So this was to replicate or simulate a worst case scenario application where the materials were in direct contact with water and exposed to 50 freeze thawing events. So the cookies were placed in water for 28 days to fully saturate them, and then basically on a daily basis they were frozen and thawed out 50 times. Just to put it into context, typically clay brick will blow apart at about the 25 to 30 cycles. And of course, we have the report to show that our system went through the full 50. The great news is that there's a whole variety of uses for this truss system as a drainage slab essentially. But one of the many great uses and something that's really taken on is with radiant heat systems. So lots of projects being done over in the west coast of Canada with Whistler Blackcomb Ski Resort, and now more into the US, Rocky region, Park City, etc. as well. So it's well worth considering. Like I said, great benefit to eliminate the concrete slab. You can see in the video here the truss being mixed. So that's the stone, aggregate, powder, water going in. Mixes for a few minutes, and then it's simply brought over to the area of the site and is placed over the heating tubes. From there, the pavers are then thin set with the adhesion nutrient and of course finally jointed in, and you can see another example of the water permeability on the video. So what this brings is increased efficiency and lower overall costs, frost resistance, reduced project timelines, again, not waiting for that slab pour to go down, simplified build-up, reduces the amount of trades, etc. to coordinate, and overall lower maintenance costs. This system has proven extremely successful where we have installed it. One other great use for truss bed is grass on truss. So in areas where you might have drainage issues, where turf can be the victim of rutting or settling, you may need a faster, cleaner installation, frost resistance, but mostly it'll be for a drainage benefit and of course rutting, settling, as I say. So think about sports fields that can get super soggy. The most part, turf is set over non-porous materials because they have to be spiked in, they have to grab hold. So this is a fantastic way to create a fully permeable, stable surface. And whether that's for dog pee areas, dog runs, etc., sports fields, golf tee boxes, temporary parking spots, the truss is a great way to elevate the game when it comes to installing artificial turf. The truss can be spread out and then simply glued down in place to the truss bed. Now, in terms of the durability, it's really not in question, but in case anybody had any doubts, we ran a test in the lot of the largest paving installer in Texas several years ago. Here we ended up utilizing a military vehicle, a 90,000-pound semi fully loaded, as well as flatbed truck and other vehicles. And we spent the day driving over this 2 cm porcelain over 3 inches of our truss bed with, of course, the open graded base stone below that. And of course, it went through all of these tests with flying colors. We were able to power wash and restore permeability despite all the mud, etc. And really just showed the strength and durability of the setting system. Now, we're going to talk briefly about open graded base materials. So we've done a lot of mention of permeability so far in the presentation, and that of course is absolutely critical, managing water. It also plays into just general stability, good practice, things like that. So how we would like to see the build-up going is basically to use ASTM number 57 stone as the subgrade, so 3/4 inch clear. The bedding layer, whether mixed with a trass or just a loose stone, is typically a number 8 or 9 type stone, up to 2 inches thick. And then, of course, the pavers sitting on top of that. And that just really prevents any resistance to migration of water. You'll find that the site is much cleaner to work on, and lots of great benefits to that. You can see here as well just the storage capabilities. I mean, it just acts like a storage tank. So here we did an experiment where we thought we'd see how much water from one bucket could fit into another bucket equivalent of number 57 stone or 3/4 inch clear. And we found out it was about 60% at the end of the day, which again, huge storage capacity during a heavy deluge, which can then allow a slow release to the ground, or of course out of exfiltration pipes, however the job site is set up. But very easy to do. It's actually less reliant on compaction and lifts like dense graded bases. There will be no base sinking and washout. Where it is where it will stay. It's workable in any weather condition. So I'm sure everybody's been onto job sites where the bobcat or machines have been driving around and it's a real mud pit. Well, if the preparation is done with 3/4 clear, that will not be a thing. And there's just a general familiarity. Most cases, the aggregates really match up to the sort of the road base or dense graded type materials. The sand is very equivalent to the ASTM 8 or 9 stone. And so there's not really a cost change here, but the output will be greatly different and provide a much better project overall. Here's just some examples of some beautiful projects that we've been involved working with. On the left side here, we have a 2 cm porcelain back patio with bonded aggregate area. On the right here, we have a fully heated driveway system. On the left, a basic porcelain tile pedestrian access path. And the bottom right, a nice secure pool patio deck in Florida. Over in the commercial world, some beautiful examples here of public spaces, including the Las Vegas Strip, where heavy pressure washing and maintenance is essential. And of course, the jointing being able to resist all of that treatment is very important. Same in the top right, religious site, again, needs to be kept nice and clean. No good if we're blowing away the jointing. And of course, bottom right is a Canada Place. That was our original commercial project, now coming up to about 9 years old in British Columbia, Canada. And I'm pleased to say that those guys are actually embarking on a whole bunch more projects because, to quote them, these products are lasting better than anything else around the building. And finally, top left, a large public space over in Toronto in Ontario, Canada. Again, frost, salty, high traffic, tough weather spot, and of course these products surviving nonetheless. So we're going to touch just briefly now on the paver jointing. I often think this is a part of landscape or hardscape construction which is undervalued, and that's really to the detriment of the project. It'll be the first thing that you notice if weeds start growing out, if the jointing disappears, if you can't power wash because the jointing's been removed, whole bunch of problems like that. Actually, the interlock of concrete pavers can be compromised once the jointing sand is gone. So having it stay in there is really, it's not holding it together, but it's part of the integrity of the surface. So we have jointing options for all kinds of pavers. They're highly water permeable. We believe that not resisting water is the key to success long term, and that's been proven over many decades. They're easy to use. They're power washer safe, which again, how do you clean your patio if you can't really power wash or rinse it off? And does not require replacement. So there may be cheaper options on the market, but the first time you replace those products, you're going to exceed the cost of what it was to have these great ROMEX solutions. And who wants to be dealing with these issues in June, July, and August when it's beautiful weather out and you'd rather be doing something better? So you can see here an example of one of our slurry grout products. That's a huge benefit. It'll fall into the joints, surround the pavers, and you have the same strength of jointing all the way from the bottom to the top. So how it works, beautiful image on the right. This is a microscopic image of one of our silica sands. So you can see here, basically the particles all get covered in the glue, if you like, for want of a better expression, but all the gaps remain. So very much like ASTM 57 or 3/4 inch on a big scale. This is a microscopic version. So the particles bond at the contact points, create a very strong structure, but still allowing the water to run through. And that's how we have that sort of magic trick of a solid surface, but allows the water to run through it. Here's an example on a job site. So this is a newly completed concrete paver driveway utilizing our flex joint. And you can see there that that 5 gallon a bucket of water instantly disappears once it hits the surface. So the ROMEX surfaces allow water to pass through without pooling. They allow for greater control and management of water whilst reducing pollutants and contaminants from entering the waterways. So the top will act like a bit of a filter, and that's why we recommend biannual power washing, just to blow that sediment, dirt, debris out of the top, keeps it functioning, keeps it looking great, no need to replace it. So these products are fantastic tools when it comes to green infrastructure projects, city and municipal permitting. Wouldn't be the first time that we've heard about the infiltration requirements on job sites. So how big's your house versus your driveway, your pool deck, and all kinds of different regions now are going to be coming up with regulations and permitting controls against how much of your hardscape can be impervious. Stormwater management and just building highly durable surfaces. So really whatever the driving factor is here, we have something for you. Whether you're trying to hit municipal permitting, green infrastructure planning, you just want really durable stuff, you need to power wash regular because you're Disneyland or the Las Vegas Strip, these products will resonate for you. And ease and speed of install, of course, not forgetting the contractors who do the great work. In terms of the power washing, I've mentioned that a few times. I'm just going to show a quick example here of a driveway that's about 4 years old now. There was some subsequent landscape work done after a period of time, dirt bins, excavator and such, and you can see that it made a right mess. So we thought this would be a great opportunity to show some pretty intensive power washing and as well as restoration of the permeability, because that's a common question we get. This is all great on day one, but what happens if it gets clogged up? So here we are blasting away all the thick dirt and then doing a little bit of detailing. And of course, right at the end, we'll see the final result here once it's all cleaned up. And of course, the water getting poured on the joint and disappearing back through. So there's a great example of being able to do that without damaging the hardscape at all. We still, despite the permeability though, recommend about a 2% slope where possible or greater. That just helps to keep things flowing off the surface. It prevents the pavers themselves from holding water. And of course, actually just keeps the surface generally cleaner for a longer period of time as particles and things are able to wipe off the surface. The joining products can be used with any really type of paver product that you can think of. And we have done installations with all of the above, including concrete pavers, natural stone, porcelain tile, wood block, such as the old streets of Chicago and Philadelphia, places like that, with our flex joint. Flagstone, very common, and of course, clay brick as well. So if there's others that we haven't mentioned, feel free to ask, but I see no reason why not. And as you can see, a variety of joint sizes from very small down at sort of 1/8 or even a 1/16 up to even 4 or 5 inch gaps sometimes in flagstone. So no upper limit on those. We have a special combination product for interlocking concrete pavers, which are about 80% of the paving market is interlocking concrete pavers. Polymeric sand is a commonly used joint product for that. So it's kind of a good idea. You get a bit of binder in there, you wet it down, it takes hold. However, unfortunately, in a lot of northern climates and through power washing and other maintenance, this product becomes soft. It doesn't stay there anymore, requires replacing. So we've come up with a water permeable polymer sand product, which is then activated as well with our D7000 stabilizer. It provides a little bit of sealing benefit to the surface. And this is kind of how it goes. So the sand is swept in and wetted, just like regular polymeric sand, wet it to set it. And then this liquid is then sprayed across the surface, squeegeed around. You remove any puddles in excess with the squeegee. It percolates through the joints and then provides an extra layer of gluing, if you like, as well as a light seal of the paver surface. And with that combination, you now have a permeable joint product that's de-icing and pool chemical safe, and of course can be power washed anytime. So the magic here is there's no cements or gels or anything to activate it. It's a choice of 5 natural polymers that allows them to be permeable, allows the water to penetrate through, and the stabilizer to give you that solid surface. It doesn't just seal at the top like a 1/4 inch, as can happen sometimes with those types of products. The other key product that I would draw your attention to is EcoFine. It is by far the leader in terms of prepackaged resin sands on the market. Pool chemical safe, super strong, basically DIY type application with commercial results. It also will not stain or mark any kind of paver. We've tested this on things, even sensitive stones such as Indiana limestone, for example. So it comes in a bucket, made in the USA. You pull it out of the bucket, you cut the bag, you wet the surface and pour the contents of the bag onto the surface. And then basically, along with a jet of water and a squeegee, you wet slurry the product into the joints. Once the joints are all filled up, you simply sweep the excess off the surface and let it cure through air. So exceptional product, and well worth having as part of your landscape. We have one very unique product at ROMEX. We're the only company in the world to have a flexible permeable joint product. So this flex joint is a combination of flexible resin, sand and rubber particles. It moves up to about 10%. It's fantastic as a replacement for loose ASTM 9 material in permeable pavers. Why? Because that material needs replacing every 1 to 3 years via vacuuming. It creates a right mess. It's liable to come out. It will come out with power washing or just use and wear and tear. And then you can have the pavers moving all over the place. So we've done several projects where we've been replacing that product. But I'd suggest you get to it out the gate, get the flex joint in there, and you'll essentially have what'll look and feel like a masonry installed project, but of course with a flexible base product, much faster and quicker to install. But the magic is the flex joint itself. Can be power washed, de-icing, salt resistant, and good for even up to fire truck rating. It's really an amazing product. So what we try and do is keep to the mentality of when we have a flexible base, we're going to use a flexible joint product. And if we have a rigid base, such as the truss setting system, then we can use one of our rigid jointing products in that scenario. And just some beautiful examples here from porcelain tile pool decks, where pool chemical safe is, of course, very important. Flagstone patios, where joint sizes can vary. We have large slabs on driveways, so flexible base with a flexible jointing product in this case. And, of course, a beautiful concrete paver driveway as well, where this homeowner will never have to worry about weeds, paver shift, power washing, things like that again. Over on the commercial side, some real heavy duty situations. You see an example of the wood block pavers bottom left. Heavy duty spaces such as the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, cold weather climate, heavy use space. Roads and streets, these are cobbled streets in San Francisco in the top right. And of course a hotel, beautiful garden paving entryway there. Nothing really much more invasive than hotels in terms of having the paving ripped up. So it's really important for those kind of sites that we do it once and do it right. We don't have paver shift, trip hazards, lawsuit potential, things like that, which of course we took care of with our products there. Now the final topic that we're going to talk about, very popular, is actually gravel binding. We have a couple different methods of doing so. The photos on the right side of the screen here show you all kinds of options that we can do, from beautiful small stones, different colors, to larger round pebbles. And you can see the list on the screen here with pea gravel. We even have some glowstone applications, river rocks, recycled glass, and then rock dust and decomposed granite, using a slightly different binder for that. So really, ROMEX is a series of aggregate binders, and we can lock that stuff in place, make sure it remains low maintenance and enjoyable safe space for many years to come. So the first product we're going to talk about of the two is the Profi Deco. So this is for any of your clean aggregates. So no dust, no fines. We want the clean, dry, pea gravel type aggregate. So how it works is 2 5-gallon buckets of stone, or approximately 150 pounds, into the mixer with the resin set. That mixes for about 5 minutes. It's then taken over to the area of the site and screeded out, usually at 1.5 to 2 inches thick, over the base aggregate. So often folks who do concrete pouring are very good at this. Nonetheless, I find it quite a fun product to install. Like I said, lots of colors, design. The tagline, durable solutions, endless possibilities, really resonates with this one. Fantastic stormwater management tool. The water just runs through it. It can be done as a border for pavers. And of course, tree surrounds being a big one here. So if you look at this video, this was an existing tree where we came in and applied the Profi Deco solution with a local granite aggregate. So about 2 inches thick. You can see we've left a bit of a collar for the tree there. And of course, when you go in and pour the water on, it just runs right through. So the tree's getting what it needs. Beautiful ADA compliant pathway. I should mention the ADA compliance is related to the choice of stone. So not just is the resin applicable or not. It's not the case. So you can imagine that the stone should really be up to about 3/8 in size. If you start going bigger than that, it gets uncomfortable to walk on and comfortable to roll a wheelchair on. That's where your ADA compliance issues will come in. So we can provide safe non-slip surfaces. It's significantly more cost effective for city trees than metal grates and other types of solutions by a huge factor, actually. Prevents root damaging the surfaces, and it's perfect for cities, parks, municipalities, all kinds of areas where aggregate pathway and tree surround would be desired, but a maintenance headache at the end of the day. Now, switching gears, the other type of aggregate binder that we have on the roster is the D7000. So this is actually the same product that we talked about earlier, which pairs with the D7 Fugensan, for concrete paver joint stabilization. Well, we also use it in this aspect for your sandier aggregates, so decomposed granite, crusher fines, different terminologies in different areas, but you can see the difference there. So it's great for garden pathways, parking areas, public spaces, easy topical application, and it basically reduces and alleviates erosion, dust, weed growth, etc. So the aggregates sort of spread out at a good couple, 2.5 inches thick. The first coat is applied. We then apply the plate compaction material, equipment over top, and then a second coat is applied soon after that. Once left to cure, it provides a really solid, stable surface, prevents washout, rutting, like I said, dust in the summertime, and of course, typical issues with weeds and things growing in. So quite common that park pathways and things are used, but parents with strollers, anybody with wheelchair accessibility, things like that, it can be a real pain. So this is a way to kind of very economically stabilize those pathways, keeps the natural look of the aggregates without the need to pour concrete, asphalt, other things like that. Lots of good examples here. You can see drainage strips between large slabs. We even have a beautiful driveway at this office building in New York. Small garden pathways, and in this case, the top left, we have a sunken Japanese garden where the rocks are stabilized there just to allow for ease of maintenance, cleaning, and where the dogs would run through and displace those rocks, holding them in place. So a whole variety of issues where aggregate binding can be beneficial. Over in the public realm, well, you can see the top left, we have this beautiful flip-flop design with concrete and the bonded aggregate. Bottom left is some white aggregates outside of a hospital, which is just a public space, so good to have those bonded down. Tree surround, and top right, this is actually an outdoor classroom where the little fellas were picking up rocks and throwing them at each other during class. So we came in and bonded those aggregates down, spoiled their fun a bit, but created a nice, safe, durable space nonetheless. The final part of this presentation is, of course, the ROMEX Isotech Earth Anchors. These are proprietary products for ROMEX. They work in conjunction with our jointing product. So typically that would be the Fugensan D7000 or Flex Joint. Why? Because we're going on a flexible base. So we want a flexible jointing product to prevent cracking, breaking, damages, things like that. So the anchors get placed into the bedding layer, and you can see in the image that the flange pokes up and supports the paver. These actually provide about 70% extra displacement protection under vehicle load compared to not having them. So the first thing is to make sure that the jointing stays in play. So we'll do that. The second thing is to add these anchors in. And the system combining the anchors with the ROMEX jointing provides a 5-year system warranty. We provide an engineering document from our head office in Germany, which shows where the anchors should be placed. which I'll show you here in a second. There we go. So you can look at the landscape plan here. So around where the 1M sign is would be a stop sign. So we can see here that the red dots on the plan indicate where anchors go. So where we have them across a whole row. The rows get a little closer together. So that's just right around the time where the braking forces increase on the stop. And then it gasses and turns to the right. Of course, that wants to push all of the pavers up towards the yellow line. But the anchors are sort of set in place there to help provide shear force benefit to the system as well. So there's actually well over 700 to 800 projects of this in Europe done. One of the major projects that we did was outside of the drop-off lane at Berlin International Airport. Very high traffic, large format pavers, and this system has also been adopted in parts by the German Roads Agency. We have done some nice projects over in North America as well, but this is really a great benefit to vehicle paver situations where, whether it's steep slopes, lots of turning and parking, turning in a parking lot. But again, back to the point, paving is a very invasive thing if it has to be redone. So having it done once and right, or with the backing of a 5-year warranty, is very beneficial. Like I said, whether you're a homeowner that lives on a steep slope or you have a commercial parking lot, this is a very, very good value option in terms of it's quite low cost in the scope of the project, but the benefit is huge in terms of what it actually provides down the line. So basically, to have it done once and right, eliminate the cost of expensive lift and relay type situations, which can happen quickly in commercial spaces if things are not done right. That concludes the presentation. Thank you very much for your time. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to ROMEX. We'll be happy to help you out with your next project. Thank you.